G'day and welcome. I'm Peter Bender from Bundaberg Commercial. This week we're going to talk about the trends in particular industries. So what industries are hot, what industries are cold, which ones are in the middle. This video is probably the sister video of one that I did last week, which dealt in regards to commercial property, as in hardcore property, buildings, heavy industrial, land development. So watch the two together, and that'll give you a good understanding of what's happening in the region. The region I'm talking about is from Hervey Bay to Bundaberg. It's, when you go out west, it's about the size of Tasmania, so it's quite a reasonably sized region, and it just butts onto the top of southeast Queensland, if that makes sense. Southeast Queensland going from Gold Coast to Sunshine Coast. Well, the Wide Bay, Bundaberg, Hervey Bay region is the region north of that. If we have a look at primary, secondary and tertiary industries, that's something that how we used to learn about industries at school is a good way to look at it. What's happening in primary industries? All right, primary industries, you're looking at heavy manufacturing. I don't do too much in farming, so I can't give you much background on that, apart from the fact there's a lot of diversification and a lot of extensive growth in fields such as sweet potatoes and macadamias in particular. There's not a lot of agriculture in Hervey Bay. The seafood industry is a main industry down there, but to be honest, I'm not sure how that's going down there. But in regards to making stuff, now you can have a look at metal industries. I've got some that do services in that area, some that are manufacturers, some that are builders and construction, and you can have a look at the construction industry itself, particularly the likes of cabinetry makers, frames and trusses, builders, that sort of type area. There's a lot of money being made in that particular area. Yes, building is making a fair bit of money up here. Now that is really bucking the trend compared to down south. The reason being is we're a little bit further behind the normal Australian cycle. As I explain often, the cycle in Australia goes from south to north. So it goes, if there's a downturn in Melbourne, then there's a downturn in Sydney, then there's a downturn in Brisbane up north. Queensland, and predominantly because we just don't have enough houses for the people who are moving up here. And why wouldn't you move up here? I mean, we've got Wales, we've got sunshine. We're not rugged up and cold like down south. So there's a lot of transition people moving up. There's a lot of immigration coming through there. There's a lot of work in mining. So that is making it hard for people to get properties, both rental as well as owning their own properties. So the builders are flat out. There's a lot of builders at the stage that there's still a situation, if they're doing small jobs, they just quote them over the phone. Now, I need a $2,000 staircase built. Yep, 20 grand. But I only want a $2,000 staircase. Yeah, well, that's what I'm doing. Not doing jobs for under 20 grand. So there's plenty of margins going in through there. The issue with that, they're not selling a lot of businesses that are in primary industries, manufacturing, not because they're not for sale, but because we don't have a lot of people capable of running those. A lot of the trades type people are out west in the mines. I'm hoping that a lot of those are coming back and picking up some of these businesses. But the boys and girls with the trades, they're looking at an easier lifestyle, an easier job. So they're going more in the lighter industrial rather than the heavy industrial, which is a pity because most of the market players that I've got on sale are dominating their industries. There's going to be a lot of strong money coming in through those areas. You're looking at least 25% margins on most of those businesses. It's very healthy. You look at an average good business, you're looking around about 18 to 20%. So these guys are performing well. But they have the challenges because you need to have a fairly decent skill set. If you don't know what a CNC machine is, then you're probably not in the market for buying a heavy industrial business. So it gives you an idea on the primary industries. Okay, let's look at secondary industries. So secondary industries, you would, cabinet makers again in that sort of type area. Automotive is one that I'm really pleased to see starting to pick up. There's a large backbone of automotive industries in any regional area, from your mechanics to your spray painters, to your auto electricians, to your car detailers, to your four-wheel drive accessories. I've got all of those for sale. So there's a lot of movement in that territory. What is pleasing is probably since Christmas, I started to notice the uptake in that industry. The prices for sale are still pretty good. They're not rising yet, but they've definitely got take up. There's offers coming in, there's sales going ahead, there's still new ones coming in. The market is pretty balanced, and that's a good option, particularly once again for a lot of people have understanding of vehicles. They don't all have to be qualified mechanics, so they can come in, they can run the front end of the business. They can take the bookings, they can order the parts. You don't take too long to get to understand that sort of type concept. It's surprising how many of my new business owners in the automotive industries are becoming their own apprentice, which is a good idea. It also gives them a skill set. They're getting government rebates, they're running the business, running as an apprentice, and they're working with a team. That's pretty well a really good way of maximising your profit and keeping your costs down. So automotive industry is one that is definitely starting to pick up and boom in the secondary industries. Tertiary industry, we have a fair bit of that, and that covers quite a range. The big promise I had last year, I always love it when people make forecasts and then you don't hear anything afterwards for the next 6 to 12 months as to whether the forecasts were right or wrong. I don't often do forecasts, but one of the forecasts I had for last year was accommodation. The pendulum of business in accommodation really blew out to the left-hand side when COVID came. That industry was cactus. People weren't traveling, nothing was happening. And that was a really well-warranted area from the government when they started putting a lot of subsidies and grants to support that industry. Times have changed. Borders have opened. It's getting hard to find accommodation. Airbnb's only doing some of the market. I've got a lot of activity in the accommodation industry. It's now very hot. I've got one client whose contract looked like it was going to fall over. I had 2 others ready to walk in and pay cash. Interestingly, there's a strong mix of people who have existing properties are buying more properties, which is always a good sign. And there's a lot of new money and new people coming in. A couple of the last properties that I sold in the accommodation industry were for lifestyle changes. One wanted to get out of the city and the other one, just wanted to get an easier life. So easier life may not be the right word. It's like sometimes you don't quite know what you're walking into, but it's definitely going to be a change for them. So accommodation is hot. The prices are starting to rise in that space. They're not out of price range yet, but I don't think it'd be too long before it really is overpriced. So accommodation is in the tertiary industry that's working high. The retail industry is probably one that I'm watching and noticing a bit of change. My core retailers like products are fairly stable. There's, normal growth in there, 2 or 3%. There's not a lot of activity going on in that, so it's a little bit flat. But you have to recognize that retail has several industries within it. One of the sectors in retail is food. Food is my forecast for this year. Once again, food industries got smashed during COVID. They're now at the stage, I'm talking cafes, restaurants, takeaways. They're now at the stage, particularly with the deliveries, DoorDash and what's the other one? I can't remember the other names. There's a couple of them. Obviously, don't have effect on me on the TV. Uber Eats and a couple of others. They have really solidified those industries, and some of them are having some really good margins, some really good money pouring through them. They are now starting to get some interest and start to get picked up. Last month we sold a bakery cafe, first one of those for quite some time. My restaurants are starting to get multiple offers from multiple people. So the message is getting out that there's money to be made in food, and we're talking 30-40% margins on a lot of those businesses. So once again, if you think a good business has 20% margin, food is definitely something to have a look at. And the prices are still fairly depressed. The offers that we're getting are below the value of the businesses, and that indicates that it's an early stage of that market rise. So if you're looking for Peter's bargain, the industry to get into, have a look at food. Coffee shops, another one. I think similar to the point that we had on hardcore commercial or hardcore industrial is skill sets. There's not a lot of activity similarly in the technical services of tertiary industries. So I'm talking about accountants, lawyers, drafters, graphic artists, web design, IT, that type of tertiary industry. The thing that's surprising me, and I like to be surprised because it always lets you know that something's changing, is how much money is going through those tertiary type industries. I'm seeing a lot of those businesses now, they're pulling 50% net profit. So if you're buying a business in that space, by the time you add the assets in that, you're looking 6 to 12 months, got your money back. That is probably what I would say is the big bargain basement for businesses that are pouring in a lot of money. As businesses get stronger, and most of my clients have had a good 23, 24. So this will be interesting when you're watching this. Make sure you're not watching this in 2038 or something, because all my information now is out of date. Then again, maybe it all goes round in a cycle and comes back. Who knows? So the technical services industry is being strongly supported by the economy that's growing strong overall. Everybody I talk to has got plenty of work. The automotive industry, it's not unusual to have clients who have got 5 to 6 weeks worth of work backed up from them, and a lot of them are being selective in their work. That is pushing out to other types of services that quite often will only get work in a strong economy, like the technical sort of type areas. All right, so we looked at primary, secondary, tertiary, heavy industrial primary, good money, but you need a skill set, pretty flat market, good opportunity to buy it if you're in that particular space. If you're a trade-orientated person, look, I can't tell one end of a spanner from the other end, or even a screwdriver from the other end, so it's not my kettle of fish, and most of us are like that. But even if you get a partner that's in that category, you can definitely do something. Commercial, automotive is definitely picking up, and it's fairly solid in that sort of region. Retail, I think, is plenty of opportunity coming through there, particularly in the areas of like food, and look, probably stay away from accommodation. The other ones to watch out for, everybody wants an online business, everybody wants a laundromat, everybody wants a car wash. Super hot, super overpriced, super overrated, I think. I think people are just getting a little bit of that lemming syndrome and just following their friends. And surprising how many accountants are telling their clients to go and get a laundromat. Don't know why. Is they looking for another way to launder their money? There you go. Peter Bender's sense of humour. All right, that's it for me. I hope you will pick up some information and use that when you're either buying a business to have an understanding of industries, and also if you've got commercial property, it gives you an understanding of how solid your tenancy should be, and that will help you evaluate when you're looking at next rent increases and the aspects like that. Take care, God bless. See you next Tuesday.